Hello everybody and welcome back to episode 107 of the Everything Moto Racing podcast. I hope you're having a good week so far and had a good weekend, the race weekend of course. I'm here with Lauren. Hello.
Hello. Just me this week. Sorry to disappoint.
Yeah. We haven't got Cameron. He said, I'll read it out because it's quite funny actually. The reason we haven't got him is because his wife has decided to injure her back. And then he said that it was only just slightly more important than the podcast. So
Yeah.
So
you're stuck with us too. What could be so bad about that?
Yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, we've had a standard racing in Austria of steward dominating racing, whereby the races have been ruined by the stewards.
Yeah, it's
at least in the sprint race.
Yeah, it wasn't the usual races that we're used to in Austria. I'm just gonna say I was slightly disappointed, apart from Moto 3, obviously.
Yeah, Moto 3 is always great.
It's goated at this point, but the rest of the racing, a bit boring and not really up to the usual standard that we see at the Red Bull Ring. And yeah, stewarding decisions made the headlines rather than the on-track action.
Yeah, it's a shame really, because I don't know, like the only highlight really of the weekend, or the only like notable point is the fact that Zarco's left Pramac.
Yeah.
Like that's, if you think about the whole weekend, you know, Bezzecchi on the podium, you've got Onshu winning a second of a race in the class, stuff like that in Moto 3. But the whole main standout thing from the whole weekend is Zarco leaving Ducati. Not the fact that, you know, anything from the racing that something amazing's happened, like when we had Brad Binder win on slicks and that dominated headlines for ages and was like the thing we talked about. Now it's just transfer news and where riders are going for 24. It just seems like a shame, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like a great weekend there, in fairness. Like the paddock looked like good fun and everyone who I know was there had a great time. So all in all, it looked to be a really, really good weekend. But from a fan perspective, watching at home, there was definitely, I don't know, it just didn't feel the same as usual. It wasn't as exciting as usual. And yes, there was loads of contract talks and loads of things to keep us all busy over the weekend. But yeah, coming away feeling slightly disappointed with the on-track action as a fan sitting at home. Anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like in the paddock looked great. I think Jen from GP Sillies was there.
Yeah, I was messaging her all weekend, like, have the best time ever. It looked so good.
I love Jen. She's an absolute,
she's a gem.
Joy, like a ball of energy, boil of positive energy. I love her. I remember when she got banned, I was like gutted for her.
I know. I only found her around that time that she got banned, and then she had her backup account and stuff like that, and I was like, what, like, who is this person? And I followed her ever since. I think she's amazing.
Yeah, she's got such a positive, wholesome energy about her.
Yeah, I feel like people who talk about like energies like that, you know, when you can see someone's good energy, they've got like an aura around them. I don't really believe in that stuff, but I fully believe it when I think of Jen. Like, I think she just like radiates happiness,
radiates positivity. Yeah, it's great. Don't want to talk about Jen too much, but like it's like when she's like watching the races, she'll record herself watching the races. And, like, her reaction's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, or when she's out and about and sees like a MotoGP, something related to MotoGP, and she'll film it and stuff like
she'll
that.
Find it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
she got like a pair of Tony Arbolina's boots a few years ago.
She's
and was
got
absolutely going
loads of cool stuff. So if you don't follow her, go follow her, because GP Sillies is a really good account. I love her.
Yeah, she's fantastic. And no, she's not asked us to.
Yeah, she's not paid us money to sit here and big her up.
No, but she's just fantastic. But yeah, it's a bit disappointing the racing, to be honest. I think, you know, we saw the whole Jorge Martin in the sprint race thing, and that was massively controversial for many reasons. You had the Turn 1 incident, of course, where multiple riders were affected. Miguel Oliveira had an issue. I think he didn't crash, but I think he was... Did he crash? I'm not sure. Bezzecchi definitely crashed. Yeah, he was definitely involved. Vinales was involved. Quartararo was involved.
Zarco.
And
crashed,
Zarco as well crashed, yeah. Like, all these riders were involved and had their races kind of ruined by that. And it's interesting because, yeah, of course... it wasn't just, Oliveira didn't even finish the first lap of the race. I think he did go down. Yes, Jorge Martin isn't the only person at fault, because Vinales getting his bad start definitely would have contributed towards that little bunch up at turn 1. But Jorge Martin himself said about Marc Marquez that if you're racing with other riders, don't brake as if there's no one around you, and then goes and does that, and then knocks Marini off at the chicane.
Later on in the race.
Yeah, later on in the race, after not being penalised. And it doesn't make sense, because surely you can see that Martin was at fault for most of that first corner thing. So maybe a long lap penalty for irresponsible riding. And if you're going to forgive that and say, it's his first corner, whatever, fine. But then he took Marini out in an audacious dive up the inside. And yes, we like racing, we like MotoGP, we like the fairings clashing and things like that. It's fantastic to watch. Like, who was it? One of the races, it may have been in the sprint actually, where the fairings collided. I can't remember who it was.
I'm not too sure, but I think with the whole thing with Martin, and yes, rubbing is racing, we know that. Yeah. I actually don't mind seeing it, and
I like it.
Exactly. And fun. We've seen it plenty of times before where riders make contact with each other and riders fall off. That's not where my issue lies. My issue lies in the fact that the stewards this year have been giving penalties out to riders who take other riders off. Fabio Quartararo did the exact same move, I mean pretty much the exact same move, to Lorenzo Savadori only a couple laps before, and got given a long lap penalty.
For irresponsible riding.
Exactly, and everyone's going, what, irresponsible riding? Yeah, what? And then we see the replay and we go, all right, okay, you've been doing that this year in terms of if you touch another rider and they fall off, you get a long lap penalty. It happened to Darren Binder last week with Jake Dixon. He got a long lap penalty. I can't think of any more that come to mind, but it happens, and we've seen it this year. Jorge Martin did the exact same thing to Luca Marini in front of Valentino Rossi, and just rode off to the podium and thought, yeah, whatever.
Got on the podium.
And then goes, I thought I should have got a penalty during that race. What?
Yeah, and then after the race, they're like, we'll give you a long lap for tomorrow's race.
For the turn 1 incident.
But it's like, not only that, how can you give Fabio a penalty within minutes of it happening, but then you can't, in the same race, but you can't then give anyone else a penalty?
No. The only thing that I can sort of see is that when the lap 1 incident happened, it did say that it was going to be reviewed after the race. And you can put your hands up and go, look, that's fine. You know, you imagine that there's going to be a lot of other stuff happening in this sprint race, track limits and stuff like that at this track are a big thing. So it makes sense for that to be reviewed after the race. But it took 4 hours to make a decision as to what Jorge Martin was doing. And then Fabio gets a long lap penalty within probably a lap for knocking Savadori off, and then Martin knocks Marini off and just walks away unscathed from it. It's just the timings of it, and I don't know, it's all a bit strange. And then for the lap 1 incident to then play in and get a long lap penalty for the next race, like Luca Marini said it after the sprint race, he's like, Jorge Martin shouldn't have been in a position there to take me off my bike. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, because he should have been penalised for his lap 1, turn 1 incident. And it's just like, And Gresini's press launch after, did you see that?
That was, oh my God, yeah. I got the email, I was like, and then on social media, they posted a photo of bowling balls as well. I was like, whoa, they weren't even involved pretty much. Well, Alex Marquez took a 4th place.
I think, for some reason, they seemed to think that Marini was going to fall off or Marquez was going to catch him anyway. So Gresini felt a bit hard done by. And they also felt that Jorge Martin shouldn't have been in the position that he was in. And they posted a picture of a bowling ball and some bowling pins, and it's like, oh, this one hasn't gone down too well within the paddock or on Twitter.
No. Oh God, not on Twitter especially. Like, and who was it, Maddie Scordia, who works for motorcyclesports.net. She basically posted a story on Instagram, and I fully agree with it, because MotoGP are owned by Dorna, and the FIM work in conjunction with Dorna and MotoGP. Dorna own the product of MotoGP, so Dorna own all the licensing, they own the videos, they are the people, the broadcasters, they are the people who, BT for example, will pay Dorna so that they can show their feed on TV. Dorna are the people who organise all the races, all the calendar, each track, everything like that. Everything you can think of about MotoGP in terms of like the product is owned by Dorna. Everything on track, however, in terms of the regulations, in terms of what the bikes can be, how well the bikes can function, you know, like what CC the engine will be, is governed by the FIM, who is like the governing body for everything two wheels, you know, whether it's Supercross, whether it's not BSB because that's privately owned, not Moto America because again, privately owned. A lot of these national championships are private, but if most of the world championships, you know, like let's say like Dakar and stuff like that, is all under the FIM umbrella, which is a federation of motorcycle racing.
It's like the FIA, if people understand the FIA, yeah.
Yeah, if you know what the FIA is, FIM is MotoGP, or the motorcycle world, sorry, they're equivalent. And the rules in MotoGP and their rule book is set out and governed by the FIM. So the FIM are the people who would, for example, decide that Luca Marini should get a long lap penalty because he hit the green line X amount of times, because they made that rule. And Maddie made a very good point. She basically posted something that said, I'll read it out word for word, "What I find the most frustrating is that the FIM stewards are having a direct impact on the MotoGP product. I go through this a lot, but there's a clear-cut difference between the FIM and Dorna. The FIM are the external body that govern motorcycling. Dorna own MotoGP, and like I just said, the product, which is Dorna, continually goes through this damage week in, week out because there is no consistency in the governing application. The thing that shocks me the most is that Dorna pay for the privilege. An estimated 80% of the FIM's turnover come from Dorna because Dorna also own World Superbike as well. I struggle to understand how this can be allowed to continue, and I want to know what protocol is in place. I get it. It's actually not in the hands of Dorna to govern. That is a good thing, I agree. Although, actually I'm going to come to that point in a minute. However, is there an advisory board? Is the FIM working with Dorna and the other event business to create a network of stewards down the line? What training is being provided to avoid this in the future? Ultimately, the people that are the best at applying law and legislation are the people who train for it. Solicitors, barriers, judges, and even sergeants. So if one's the judge, what's the solution here? Because the product doesn't need the damage. And based on the evidence we all have, there's little to no consistency, at the very least no explanation as to why. Help people understand it so they don't have to be so critical. And it's true, because what the FIM are doing is having a direct impact on MotoGP as the product, MotoGP as the racing. We sit here and we criticise the racing. We go, MotoGP sucked this weekend because of this. You've got Matt Oxley on Twitter has said many times that, you know, the stewarding and all that is damaging the racing, and it's damaging Dawn as a product, because at some point people will turn off their TVs and decide, you know what, I'm just not going to watch MotoGP anymore because it's rubbish, because the stewards ruin everything. Why would I want to watch this? And that's not Dorna's fault, but Dorna will lose money out of it because of the FIM.
I struggle, because in World Superbikes we don't really talk about the stewarding at all. I mean, I can't think of anything that comes to mind straight away when I think of World Superbikes and stewarding, but I literally can think of so many examples of when the steward's decision has taken the spotlight off the racing on track in MotoGP, and that is a worrying thing, because they both have the same governing body. It's the same stewards in terms of, like, they all come from the FIM. So why is one championship really suffering and the other championship isn't?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, World Superbike does have the same problems.
Is there an issue in World Superbikes? And
Yes, there also is an issue in World Superbikes, because at Catalonia this year there was a few issues, and it was Rinaldi and Bassani who smashed into each other at turn 1. And then Bassani gesticulated at Rinaldi further on the lap. Bassani then pushed under Rinaldi and just overtook Rinaldi instead and crashed. He caused Rinaldi to crash. That incident was then investigated, and from what I remember, Bassani, who caused him to crash, didn't get a penalty for it.
Yeah, that's interesting. As a whole, maybe. Or maybe I'm just clueless.
Oh, wait, no, sorry, yeah. Rinaldi was given a long lap penalty, sorry, but he nearly wasn't, thinking about it.
Okay.
But again, he caused the rider to crash. nothing. But then Rinaldi didn't get penalised for the first move that was a bit audacious. But there have been, I remember this year, there has been a few issues around this, that and the other in superbikes. But I mentioned that, maybe it should be done internally, and Maddie said that maybe that's not a good idea. Maybe it is a good idea. Look at BSB. Stuart Higgs runs a fantastic show there. The stewarding is always spot on as well. I can't think of anything in British Superbikes recently where a penalty has been served or been given out stupidly. There have obviously been issues, and there was controversy last year, I remember, with Peter Hickman and Jason O'Halloran, because I think it was last year. It was when Rory got injured at the same race.
Yeah.
And Hickman knocked off O'Halloran like twice in the same corner or something like that. And then Tommy Bridewell went and did the same thing, and there was a malarkey about that. But then all the penalties were handed out fairly. But in BSB, they do it really well because they sit the rider down and they go, this is what you've done. This is why you're getting the penalty. And it's just a really well-run championship. I don't think there's any complaints with BSB.
Do you wonder if in F1, obviously governed by the FIA, they have an issue with stewarding, and we're going, this is the stupidest decision I've ever heard.
Yeah.
It's the same umbrella network as what the FIM are, and we're talking here about issues with stewards, but then you're saying with BSB, a privately run championship. Is that the difference here? That maybe the stewards that are being put in place just aren't up to the job. They, like Maddie said, it should be the correct people. Are these people correctly trained maybe for the job? Are they just thrown in there and expected to look at this rule book? Or are they fooling themselves by having such a strict rule book sort of thing? Because they're taking all these incidents case by case, and if you're working with a rule book that's so black and white like that, but then taking something case by case, you're going to struggle and you're going to have issues around that. So yeah, maybe it's the governing body that is the issue here, because like I tried to say there, the FIA also have the same problem here, but BSB makes it very clear who's at fault, what your penalty is going to be, and when you're going to serve it. And maybe that's all the FIM need to do. Maybe we just need some clarity. We do get emails and press releases and stuff like that of sanctions. We don't get all of them, but you do get a fair amount of them, and things are explained well, but maybe every single one needs a statement like that where the rider has been sat down and we get the exact thing that the rider has seen, and we go, okay, this is exactly what's been said. Yeah, we don't agree with it, but at least there's a bit of clarity around the situation here, because at the weekend they just leave the track and we're going, why did this happen the way that it happened? Why did one person get a penalty and one person didn't? We're none the wiser to why that happened.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense, and there's just a lot of dodgy stuff, to be honest.
Well, it's a lot of grey areas in something that should be black and white. You've got a rule book. Why is there grey areas in a black and white rule book?
Yeah, well, because Matt Oxley basically has said quite strongly, I would say, he basically hinted that potentially MotoGP could, not saying he has, and that they are, just that something could be being fixed in MotoGP. He's going on about, because we had the new scrutineer in the tyre pressures being checked this weekend according to the new rules, because last year Matt Oxley, very well, he destroyed his relationship with Ducati in the process, but in the name of journalism, fair play.
Yeah.
Big respect to it. He last year basically uncovered that Ducati were running under the minimum pressures each race, and basically accused him of cheating, kind of thing.
Well,
and
yeah.
So because of that, MotoGP have implemented a new thing where you have to check the tyre pressures before and after a race, and every bike has to go in and every tyre is checked. Matt, being a journalist, has to go and do his job, and went down there just to see what's going on with the new scrutineers this weekend. And he basically has tweeted and said that with a photo of two Dorna employees and then Bezzecchi's bike in the background, He said that he's tried again to photo the new MotoGP scrutineers checking tyre pressures according to the new rules. He stood in the pit lane and not in the bay and was told to go away, and then had the Dorna heavies, as he says, threaten me. He says, what is a MotoGP fan to make of this? Because these are the people who matter. Dorna/FIM wants to do these basic checks behind closed doors. So how can these checks be trusted? Front tyre pressure is 100% vital to performance now. It's no minor detail. Alicia Spargo suffered this weekend because of tyre pressures. So are the rules actually being adhered to? Or are they being fixed whilst no one is watching? It's such an idiotic system. Transparency is all. Stewards and scrutineers need to prove to fans that they're doing everything correctly. There are so many things wrong in MotoGP right now that can easily be fixed by thought and intelligence.
Yeah, you can't do scrutineering like that behind the closed door. If you've made such a big song and dance about, you know that this has been uncovered, you know now that you're going to have to monitor the tyre pressures, you've made it clear that that's what you're going to do. You can't then say you're doing it and not let anyone see that you're doing it. Like, I don't know, like, I don't understand tyre pressures, etc., etc. I'm not very technical, but yeah, if people can't literally see you doing the said scrutineering, what is the point?
Because, which is vital to a race result.
Exactly, because you lose the trust of your fans, you lose the trust of the teams that invest into this championship too, and then it's like, what is the point in all of us being here and doing this if we can't trust the product?
Yeah, that's it. And there's nothing wrong with maybe wanting to hide the pressures because of whatever with other teams and things like that. That's fair enough. But like Matt said, just a bit of transparency, a bit of...
I mean, we don't need them all announced to us at the time.
No,
if a team is maybe
at all.
not complied with the tyre pressures,
we should know about it.
Of course, yeah, the team should be told first. And then the team, then the public should be let know once the team has been let know. And all of us can sort of go, okay, yep, that's happened. And then the team can work towards making sure that that doesn't happen again in the future. But it's all just about transparency. I'm not expecting, straight away a message to my phone saying, oh, look here, someone didn't comply to the rules. Just a bit of, in this race, this team didn't comply with the rules, but we've spoken to that team and, that it'll be checked at the next race sort of thing. Or, they've been let know, or if it happens X amount of times, there'll be a penalty, that sort of thing. That's all that needs to be said and all that needs to be done. I'm not asking for much. It's just transparency at the end of the day.
That's it. And because if, say, Fabio Quartararo a few years ago was disqualified because of tyre pressure in Moto2, and that was just given to everybody, Fabio Quartararo, his tyres been checked, and he's been disqualified because of wrong tyre pressure. Dominic Agata was disqualified for a win, I think, in Mazzano a few years ago, again, because of the wrong oil in his engine. And that transparency that we know, yes, he was disqualified, but they've given the specific reason why he was disqualified. And that is so important, because when there is these accusations of cheating and there's accusations of teams and riders, Ducati getting away with the fact that they're having underinflating the tyres, which provides the tyre with more grip through a corner, and also can help with the tyre wear as well over the period of a race, and fuel consumption sometimes. So with that so clear and obvious that Ducati are kind of bending the rules a little bit, we as fans, after seeing Ducati win week in, week out, I think they've actually, apart from Rins at
Aleix last week.
Oh yeah, that's it, right. Apart from Aleix and Rins, Ducati have won every single race this year.
Yeah.
So, there needs to be a bit of transparency of, yes, they're winning every race, but they're doing it within the legislation, and here's the proof.
Yeah. No one likes a cheat, and we're not trying to say that anyone is cheating, but if things are done behind closed doors, that's how you get cheating accusations. That's how these things happen. Yeah. But it works hand in hand with the whole stewarding and this grey area. This tyre pressure thing is a bit of a grey area, and something that would help massively is just being transparent, giving the people the information, but also just sitting the teams down, talking about it, putting it on a piece of paper, explaining it, and then sending that out in your press release and going, okay, yep, this is what's going on. Everyone can see it. It's then a trusted method. People know why XYZ has been explained, and everyone can go, okay, yep, that's cool. I don't maybe agree with what's written down there, but at least we understand the thought process behind it.
Yeah, exactly. But it just seems like a mess.
It is, but it's just an easy fix is the thing. And I just don't get why we're not pushing for such an easy fix. Like the penalty, etc., that got handed out on Saturday felt very much of an afterthought because of how much crap was being said on social media. It's like, oh God, yeah, we're going to actually have to give him a penalty here. Like, that's what it felt like. It took like 4 hours or something to be announced after the sprint race.
Yeah.
That's not acceptable. And it's just, it's such an afterthought. And, you know, it makes no difference. It's left a sour taste in everyone's mouth, and it really doesn't fit the crime because it's being served in a different race that has no impact on the race that's just happened. So, yeah.
It is a bit... Exactly. We just need some transparency is what we're asking for.
Yeah, please. It's not much.
Like, it's not much at all. I mean, there may have been a problem this weekend because Nikki Kovacs has responded to Matt that basically said, I've been told otherwise but Danny Eldridge, the live data transmission is still not working. So it's literally just a manual check at that moment. Later they can check all the data. The penalty doesn't come that way. At least this is what I understand. And Matt replied with, this is it as far as I know. The TPMS data is okay, tyre pressure system, but feeding it live to race direction is not, so they cannot go with the 50% rule and have to go with random checks with a few bikes, which will have TPMS efficiency confirmed by a physical pressure check. So maybe there's just a problem this weekend, and maybe in Catalonia it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But we just don't know, do we?
No, there's
just have to see.
No confidence in it.
Absolutely no idea. But yes, let's stop being so fun. No, such downers. Sorry, should we say? We're not being fun. We're being the opposite.
We're being the complete opposite.
Yeah. So another thing. Well, we'll go into a bit of silly season for a minute. So Johan Zarco has been officially confirmed to leaving Pramac this year, after rumours of LCR Honda offering him a contract with double his current salary on it. As a guy in his end of his career, I don't blame him whatsoever for accepting an offer like that.
No, I
2-year deal.
You've got to do what you've got to do. TNT Sports spoke to Lucio Cecchinello before the race on Sunday, and he said that a contract had been sent Zarco's way. All they were waiting on was him signing it. Then, obviously, later on in the day, we hear that he's leaving Pramac. I mean, we still haven't got official confirmation that he's going to LCR.
No, just that he's leaving Pramac.
But I mean, hearing it from the team boss himself that he sent the contract his way, you sort of imagine that that's where he's going to go. And Zarco said himself he was sort of sick of the 1-year deals at Ducati. He was looking for more security and getting that 2-year deal. So it makes sense. I think he's sort of been in the shadows in that team. He's been a second place man for a long time there, and I think stepping to LCR Honda, he can be the number one man and the man that, you know, the team listen to and make the changes and, yeah, be the number one rider in a team.
Yeah, exactly. And on the Crash.net have basically confirmed that Zarco may not have even been in Pramac next year, even if he'd stayed at Ducati.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of talk of Franco Morbidelli coming in to replace... Well, Franco Morbidelli was originally
and Bez.
kind of earmarked. Yeah, Franco was originally earmarked for VR46. But Bez is desperate to stay there. I mean, Valentino Rossi is also pushing Bez to stay at VR46. Which is not a bad thing because Bez will get a 24 Ducati next year.
Well, I think that's what they're pushing for. And to be fair,
because you'll get the same bike.
Yeah, from Valentino's side of thing, you've got something that's not broken. Why try and fix it?
Yeah, so why change it?
Yeah, so he's going, I want to keep these two, which makes a lot of sense. Plus, there is also still the rumours that Valentino does eventually want to move that squad to a Yamaha, which Frankie's just destroyed his contract with, so...
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's it.
And Ducati have made it, like, obvious that if Frankie was to sign a deal with him, they'd be more than happy. Like, they want him there. So, for some reason... he's getting the promotion of his life if it's to come true, Frankie Morbidelli, which I'd be really excited about. But yeah, it's all sort of weirdly fitting into place.
Yeah, because that's the thing, because Franco, he might not be in VR46, but he gets a guaranteed factory bike in the Pramac squad next year next to Jorge Martin, which is not a bad thing. I think I could actually, and Frankie, have you seen his interview that he did with Jack Appleyard?
I seen a bit of it, where he was like, I don't know what he said, but... He
said was like, because Jack was like asking questions, and Frankie was literally as cool as calm as you get. It was like, I know it's your job as a reporter to get this information out of me, but just be patient, just relax. And Jack was like, so are you saying Frankie says, telling me to react? Are you saying that, Frankie? And Frankie was like, yes, I'm telling you to relax. And I was like, that is so cool.
He is like the coolest guy on the grid, in fairness. Yeah, but
he is ace.
Yeah, it all makes sense. Him leaving Yamaha, Alex Rins leaving LCR to go to Yamaha, Johan Zarco leaving Pramac Ducati to go to LCR, and now Frankie Morbidelli, the top spot, to go to Pramac. It's the weirdest little way about,
it kind of works.
Like the roundabout way, but it all works and it all fits into place. And I'm sort of going, I really want to see this next year, so let's get these announcements coming.
Yeah, well, I think Zarco's almost 100% at Ducati, because he said, no, at Honda, because he said to MotoGP.com that he had a few weeks to think about it. Despite doing good results for 3 years with Pramac, it's been tough to sign again for Honda. Again now, saying that there are many competitive Ducatis, many young guys, so it seems it was tough to have another signature, even if it was not sure if we were going to be with Pramac or another team. And then he says, so the offer and discussion with Honda and Cicciolo is very interesting. Get the opportunity to have a project for 2 years, because he'll get a 2-year contract at 33 years old with double his salary.
Yeah.
You know, he's in his last years of his MotoGP career now, so if he can get as much money as he can to sort him for the rest of his life, he's going to take it.
Well, as much money, the possibility of maybe test rider roles afterwards, you know, just because you retire at, say, 35, maybe this next 2 years is his last 2 years. If he puts himself in a team, can turn the bike around or start turning the bike around, you know, there's test rider roles on the go. Maybe he wants to get snapped up by another team for test rider roles, you know. You're always thinking of life after racing too, so
yeah, you are. That's it, and
a lot to it.
Yeah, 100%. And he basically said, because I was thinking about KTM when he stormed at KTM, but he basically said that he's grown a lot since 2019 when he had the difficult experience with KTM, and then backed up saying Honda is another story. Yes, they're struggling now. They don't have a winning bike right now, but they're still Honda, and they have the power to come back if they find the right way for development.
Yeah,
and he said he'd be very proud if he can be part of this and if he can perform. So it's pretty much guaranteed. He raced for them in 2019, left a very good impression on Lucio Ciccinello as well. He actually did some very good results, although he crashed twice with them and had an issue with the Corona. I think he did very well on the Honda.
Yeah, well, I sort of thought that Iker Lecuona was maybe a shoe-in for the seat.
He's still a shoe-in for
the factory.
A Repsol seat. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Carlo Pernat has said today that Johan Mir will ride for Gresini next year.
What?
And that opens the spot for La Corona. But Pernat says all sorts of malarkey. He also said Tony Arbolino would also go to Gresini.
No,
so
that makes no sense whatsoever, because all the rumours I were hearing at the weekend were Tony Arbolino and Jake Dixon being the two names for the Gresini seat. Because, I mean, there's no one else really, unless you start bringing outsiders in from like other championships or something, which is a bit random.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. But like, it's interesting if, say, he does leave Johan Mir for a Ducati, that is 2 factory riders, aka Franco Morbidelli and Mir, who are willing to throw in the towel on a Japanese factory contract to go ride in a satellite team on maybe 1-year-old machinery, just because.
But it's 1-year-old winning machinery is the difference.
Yeah.
If it was a year-old Yamaha in 2019, you'd go, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you would, yeah. That's the thing. But there's also talk, again, very tiny, like it's probably going to be Franco Morbidelli at Pramac. But somebody hinted earlier, I can't remember where it was, about Marc Marquez going to Pramac.
Someone's been saying that on Twitter too, and for the life of me I can't remember who it is, or maybe multiple people have been saying
Ricard Hove. I've just found it, Ricard Hove.
No, there's someone else has also been saying that the Marquez's, their father has been hanging around the Gresini garage a lot more than he's been hanging around the Honda garage. Like, that's how wild these rumours are getting, with the fact that, I don't know his name, but he's been hanging around Alex's team.
Is it? Yeah, what, Marquez's manager?
Yeah. No, his dad.
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
I can't think.
Goodness me.
But their dad has been hanging around more with Alex, and since both of them have been in...
Julia.
Yeah. Since both of them have been in MotoGP, you've seen... He's always been in the Repsol garage. Any documentary that you see, he's always in the Repsol garage. When the boys were growing up and Mark moved up to MotoGP, you know, you see him sitting there with his wee crossed fingers. But apparently, this weekend, he was in Gresini a lot. So people have read into that and have gone, Marc Marquez is going to be on a Ducati next year.
Or he's just going wherever the fastest brothers go.
Yeah, maybe Mark's been like, can you stop annoying me for once and go see Alex?
Well, yeah, Rickard Hove, well, I don't know what Motor ZN is, but I'm assuming it's part of DAZN, because DAZN obviously have the Spanish rights for MotoGP, basically said that he asked Marc Marquez at Pramac. For me, the question is, including this, Enea Bastianini at Pramac, and the official Ducati for Marc is MotoGP fiction, but is what he said.
I mean,
Enea has struggled this year, hasn't he?
Massively. Like, I don't know. You sort of gave him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously, he broke his collarbone first half of the season before the summer break.
Anymore.
That's the thing.
He said he's not injured.
Before the summer break, you could totally go, anytime you come back here, you're not going to get 100% Enea Bastianini. But I'm really, really struggling to see at this point now what is going on. But the thing is, Jorge Martin has not been, like, he's been better this year, but still not like what you would want on your second factory seat, I don't think, anyway. So Enea Bastianini is going to be clinging on to that for dear life once this 2 years are up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
If he doesn't improve.
I think he'll stay in Ducati next year, but it's like you need to be fighting for the championship.
Yeah, well, you need to. You need to be like assisting Pecco or doing better than Pecco, sort of thing. And he's not doing either of those.
Jorge Lorenzo was sacked because he wasn't going to win the championship, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Petrucci was sacked because he wasn't at that wasn't getting it there. Jack Miller was sacked because he wasn't getting the results that they wanted. And Bastianini's come in and is doing worse than Miller was last year.
Well, the whole thing was that the two of them were meant to be 1 and 2 in the championship, and I don't know if they're
we even said before
exactly
they're going to be 1-2.
What order it's going to be in, I don't know. What team orders are going to come into play, I don't know, but it's going to be a factory Ducati 1-2 this year, and I can't see it happening this year or next year.
No, I can't. Not in this rate. Or it will be a Ducati 1-2. It'll probably be a Ducati 1-2-3, but it'll be Bagnaia, Martin, and Bezzecchi.
Yeah. And maybe a possible KTM, depending on Mr. Brad Binder. But yeah, it's a bit weird.
Who has renewed for 2026?
Oh my God, that's mental. But you know what they're doing? They're just taking the story off the fact that they haven't announced Pedro Acosta yet. They've nowhere for him still.
Yeah.
And they've just gone, do you know what? We're at our home race. We should be announcing all our contracts, but we can't because we've nowhere to put Pedro. All our riders have said they're staying. We've signed all our riders to stay. What are we going to do? Let's announce that we've actually signed Brad Binder for 3 more years on the back of his last 3-year contract.
Yeah, well, because he was already signed to 2025, end of 25. So just slapped another year on it to make it in line.
Well, I thought it was only the end. I thought it was the end of 24.
No, it's 25.
Oh God.
The end of 25, and they just wiped another year on it. But because Augusto Fernandez said he's definitely in Gas Tech 3 next year, 100%.
But Paul Spargo said the same thing.
Yeah, but so now people are looking at Jack Miller.
Well, this is the interesting thing.
Who is struggling a little bit. Yeah,
Jack Miller,
it seems,
put it in reverse this weekend, and thanks to Bad MotoGP memes for all the funny memes on it.
Yeah.
Because he did, he just completely...
He was 3rd and then 15th, funny.
Like, horrific, actually. And it's funny because we backed him so much when he was in the Ducati school. We were like, why are Ducati getting rid of him? And then we're going, okay, actually KTM's a really good move for him, really good teammate in Brad Binder, and he showed promises of like good racing, and he's qualifies well.
He's always got a podium
off the line, really good. Like his starts are incredible, and then all of a sudden 15th. Like it's a bit weird.
It doesn't make sense. Like it's like Vinales kind of going backwards a little bit in the opening laps of the race.
Yeah, the two of them are
It's
very
strange.
similar, actually. I would put the two of them in the same boat. They're having the same time at the minute by the looks of it.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, Binder... like, Binder can battle for the front three.
Yeah.
But why can't Jack? Jack burns his tyres up.
Yeah.
Jack said that, like, 2 races ago, they changed something. It doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah.
Like, obviously it's not working. But, like, Paul Espargaro was 6th in the sprint race.
Unbelievable.
And he had no energy. He said he was zapped after the sprint race.
Yeah, I mean, you can see it in his performance on Sunday, but that's just a lack of not being on the bike. I mean, the fact that he finished...
The only way you can...
Yeah, the sprint race so high up. What can you expect? He's been out for, however many months.
The only way you're going to gain that fitness is by riding the bike.
Yeah.
And if you've only had... This is only the second time you've done it this season properly, then...
Yeah. Jack seems pretty confident he was staying.
Yeah, because, there was talk, because Brad Binder obviously had that contract renewal, and there was talk that there was going to be another one for Jack on the table.
Yeah.
But I don't, like you say about Acosta, I don't know what's going to happen with Acosta, because they said that Pernat, I think it was on Friday, not Pernat, Espilaqueta again has cancelled or denied KTM's opportunity to have a 5th bike on the grid, despite Pit Byra saying to Service, who are the German people from
Service
MotoGP,
TV,
Service TV, that's it, that
they've got a 5th bike.
They were going to have a 5th bike, and they said that at Silverstone on live TV. And Pit Byra said that, the CEO of the Byra Motor Group, who own Husqvarna, KTM, and Gas.
I mean, Husqvarna would make sense.
Husqvarna would be amazing.
I just think it would look incredible as well.
Oh, it'd look amazing, yeah.
So it does make sense in that putting 5 or 6 bikes, KTM bikes on the grid, it does make sense. And obviously there was the whole Marquez and Acosta rumours that they would be the riders on those bikes. It does make sense, but it's so contradicting. I think the fact that we've not had any announcement of said possible 5th bike, or where Pedro Acosta is going, I think they thought they were being slick by announcing Brad Binder for another year, but I mean, we're not that dull, unfortunately, and you're sort of going...
I can't lie. I didn't even realise that until you said it, so I feel
How
a bit
did
dull.
you not? Oh my god. To be fair, I only thought about it today when I've been thinking about things to talk about on the podcast. But when you actually sit down and think about it, you're going, no other KTM announcements were made. So all these people saying that they're safe and secure. The only person who's actually safe and secure is Brad Binder, who has put pen to paper. Otherwise, I don't want to know what's being talked about right now, because they are going to be worried. Well,
because there was a thing I heard on the grapevine about Paul Espargaro maybe being a reserve rider for KTM next year, like Jonas Folger is now, and being their test rider. And if any rider's out for a round or two, then Paul can step in and be that. Yeah. But Paul has a deal for next year.
I think that one, and I think we've mentioned it before, that all depends on Paul's fitness and his desire to still want to race come next year. If he has another big crash, God knows what could happen. You know what I mean? But his desire to want to keep racing, I think he will have to question himself a lot in this second half of the season, because it's going to be tough for him. Is this still really what he wants to do and put his body through? He's got a family and everything. He's going to have a lot of questions to ask himself, is this something that he still wants to do? Then a test rider role or a reserve rider role might be the best thing for him come next year. But if he still wants to race and has a contract signed, that's going to be so shitty on one of maybe 3 riders that you're going to have to go, I'm sorry, we're exterminating your contract, or terminating your contract early.
Yeah, exterminate.
Not quite.
Because KTM have said again this weekend that they've made the mistake of ditching a rookie after 1 year, and they're not going to do that again. So Augusto is safe, I'm going to assume. So I'd say Binder and Augusto are safe. Miller
and Paul are the disposable ones here.
But it depends what performance clauses they've got in their contracts as well, because Miller isn't performing as well as Oliveira did. Oliveira won 2 races last year. Poles can be excused because of performance, but Miller,
But I mean, his performance since coming back has been good, all things considered. And when compared to his teammate, you know, there's a lot of things that play into that.
Paul's probably going to hit that performance clause. I think if he's done it all year, I could see a podium or two.
Yeah, the only thing I can think is they genuinely do buy someone out of their contract because they've no other choice.
Yeah, but because if they don't, Pedro Acosta can sign to anyone he wants, because his contract that he signed when he was in Moto 3 for the next Moto 2 season was 2 years in Moto 2 and a Moto GP in 2024. That was written in stone on his contract.
Yeah.
And there's performance-based things in that, but Pedro Acosta is leading the standings, so his performance is fine.
Yeah, his performance has never been under question. So
he can walk. The thing I'm thinking of, he has every right to approach Pramac Ducati right now and go, look, KTM can't sort me out.
Oh, I never even thought of that.
Yeah.
Based on Frankie's reaction, I'm going to say no, but...
Yeah, KTM, he'd just pull a rug. Acosta would pull a rug out under everyone's feet, wouldn't he? If he did that.
Because so many things are sort of looking set in stone now. The only place that I can still see, obviously there's a Gresini seat, but I don't really see that. But a Repsol Honda is still, in my mind, sort of slightly ahead. And of course you don't want that. But a year ago, I mean, I talked about it a couple of weeks ago on this podcast. I just think it would work so well if the bike was just not a shitbox.
Yeah, but anyone can't, yeah.
I know, but
if the bike wasn't crap, Marquez would be champion.
Yeah, but think of the bike in the likes of 2019 with Pedro Acosta on it. One can dream, okay?
That 2019 bike with Acosta on it would have been superb.
Yeah.
It'd have been amazing to watch. But...
I don't know.
Yeah. Honda are trying all these new fancy wings.
Which seem to be...
They were homologated at Silverstone. Did a lot of testing on it. I don't know if they ran it on Saturday or Sunday.
They ran it at some point and Marquez was faster, so...
Yeah, I'll have a look at the media images and just have a look.
But no, I don't know if they ran it on race day. Speaking of Marc Marquez, he finished his first Grand Prix since Malaysia.
Yeah, his first 301 days.
Oh, God.
Which is nuts. But it was quite funny, actually, because Marcos Ramirez, who has replaced SDK at American Racing, because it's very glad to see that SDK has been sacked, unfortunately, which is a disgrace, but we haven't got a podcast long enough to talk about that.
That's a podcast in itself.
Yeah, but SDK's replacement, Marcos Ramirez, is back on a Calex, and he tweeted, because who was it who tweeted? Somebody basically tweeted the fact that 301 days after Marc Marquez returns to points, and they did like something, the big thing, I can't be bothered to read it out, but Marcos Ramirez replied to it saying, I had more than 365 days without scoring a point, but where's my title? And Aleix replied to it and said the line with his new KLX is out hunting, get ready, kind of thing. Which I thought was quite funny.
Aleix probably knows all about that. Not scoring points.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think Marquez even made a joke about, like, why are we celebrating 12th place, like a win? Like, it's a bit embarrassing. Like, I think he knew himself. It was a bit like,
Well, apparently Honda's like socials were like acting like you've won a race or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he's a bit sort of like, let's not be pushing this here, there, and everywhere. Like, I finished in the points in my first race GP since Malaysia, but like, that's a statistic you don't want to be celebrated.
No, exactly. Yeah, they did run the wings in the race, by the way. Yeah, exactly. And Emir has finished one Grand Prix in the Portimao this year and has crashed out, or not finished every other one. He came out and said on Thursday, Mir basically said I'll read the actual quote out if I can scroll down far enough to find it quickly. Yeah, let's have a look. There are a few things I want to say at the end of the podcast as well, but he said that, I'll read the quote. Mir said, accept the situation I'm in. Before, I didn't want to accept it. Obviously, come from a competitive Suzuki to this, being forced to do it. I was turning things around, but it's true that at one moment I thought seriously about stopping, not because I wanted to go with another bike, but because I was mentally collapsing. Now I'm not in this situation. I know if I'll stop, I'll regret it a lot in the future. I want to keep trying. So Mears thought about stopping.
He's not even near 30 yet, is he? He's what, like 26, 27?
24.
Oh.
He's young. Let's have a look. Yeah, like, it might be 25.
Maybe 25.
25.
Oh my god.
He's 26 in next Friday.
Oh my god. I thought he was maybe a year older than that. I may be thinking of Alex Rins. That's ridiculous, I think, at that age to have thought, do you know what, let's just pack it all in. Because he's right, he would regret that in later life. Yeah,
he would. And the fact that Marquez is as glum and as he looks as well, like, Marc Marquez never settles for 12th place. Ever.
No, he's not Marc Marquez
ever in his career. And now he's just a shell of himself. That Honda is ruining people's careers and their lives. But the difference
is that he's had so much more experience in the class than Johan Mir. So you're sort of going, if Mark talks about, you know, the thoughts of retirement, which he has openly said he's had before with the injury and stuff like that, you can sort of go, yeah, I mean, you've won 8 world titles. You can sort of go, that's fair if you're thinking about packing it all in. But for Mir, who's won 1 in a year that a lot of people sort of disregard in regards of championships, I'd be like, no, I'm staying until I win another one and prove to everyone that, you know, that wasn't a fluke. And it's just I wasn't, you know, yeah. I don't know. That's so heartbreaking to read, and you can laugh at him every week that you're sort of going, oh, Mir's crashed again. But when you actually hear it from the rider that they were thinking about retiring,
and you know that, well, because people forget that these people are human.
Yeah.
You know, these guys, of course they pay millions to ride motorbikes around a track, and every one of us would be a bit jealous about it, but it's still a career. And, you know, if you're in your job, I don't know what everybody's job out there is. There's a lot of you listening, so I don't know what your jobs are, but I'm sure everybody who's listening has probably had that job in their life where they're sick of it, you know.
Yeah.
They hate it, and they're like, you know, you don't want to get up in the morning and go and do that job because it's just like, oh, and you slug through it all day and you're like, I hate this. I want to be anywhere but this. And it just feels like it's never ending, and that never ending cycle of it. It doesn't matter how much you're paid or what you do as your trade, you can still get that feeling.
But it doesn't even matter if it's your dream job. You can still get days or periods where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore.
And the only difference is, the difference between, say, me and Johan Mir is if I'm sick of my job, can hand my notice in and within a month be out of there.
Yeah.
Johan Mir is tied in until the 31st of December 2024 and faces massive financial penalties to get out of that.
Yeah, unless you're in a position to financially get yourself out of that, or are willing to financially get yourself out of that, or your team finally go, do you know what, actually I think it's best if we part ways. You're you have to pick yourself up out of that slump and go, well, we're in it for the long haul here, we've got to do something about it.
That's it, because there was a rider in Repsol Honda a few years ago, you know, one of the greatest riders of our generation, was in the exact same situation. Couldn't really afford to get himself out of that. So what he did? The 5-time world champion Jorge Lorenzo retired, despite potentially being able to, if he was on a competitive bike, win races. He literally had won races less than a calendar year prior. On the Ducati.
I think that was mad from Lorenzo, in fairness, because obviously he moved to Ducati and it had started to work. Leaves Ducati. Don't know why he left, but
he jumped before he was pushed, basically, because they replaced him with Bertucci.
Yeah. So then he goes to Honda, which at this stage is still the best bike, or one of the best bikes on the grid. And again, 2 years there, and he struggles. And he did have some performances where he showed that turnaround and the potential that if you just keep going here, it's all going to click into place. And I just went, no. But again, at that point, he'd won the championships. You know, he'd won 5.
Yeah.
Was he going to win any more? Or was he just going to win a handful of races here and there?
Races, yeah.
That's you have to weigh that up.
Yeah, but Lorenzo didn't even crack a top 10 and not only that, he didn't even do 2 years at Honda. He did 1 and was like, this is too bad. I'm not even going to race next year. I'm going to retire instead. That's how bad it was for him.
Do you know who did the best thing? Danny Pedrosa.
Oh yeah, he did great, didn't he? He jumped just as it was
just
getting
at the
bad,
right time. He goes, you know what?
Yeah.
I am out of here. Didn't bother moving around. Just went, no, I'm done.
He nearly went to a Yamaha.
Yeah, landed the best bloody test riding role on the grid and is literally living the life.
Yeah, he's like still, because you can retain being a Red Bull athlete as well, so he gets to do his Red Bull promotion and get paid by Red Bull still, and KTM will pay him X amount, and he can do his wild cards when he wants to.
Which he doesn't really want to do, but he does anyway.
No. Yeah, I think after Jerez, he's like, you know what? Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, he said it before, he doesn't really care about the races, but yeah, he's like top 10.
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, you know what? FP1, yeah, I'm getting first.
I'm topping it, yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, he's living the dream. And Lorenzo tried that with Yamaha and turned up to the test completely unfit and was miles off the pace, and Yamaha sacked him. So it just depends. Lorenzo clearly lost the love completely for it. Now he races cars and finishes nearly last, and that's fine if he gets that enjoyment from racing still and he can afford it. Then
well, yeah, at that stage you just have to make the choice of doing what you love to do, and everyone should have the chance to do that at some point in their life.
Yeah, and the difference to a team like Lorenzo and everybody else is Lorenzo's still racing, of course, but he's not riding for a factory MotoGP team or demanding him to win races.
Yeah.
He's now just driving in the Porsche Carrera Cup, which is a support race for the F1 series. So he gets to attend every F1 round as a driver, sit on the grids, live the life in luxury behind the scenes because there's millions of pounds or euros, and just drive cars and finish last. And it doesn't matter if he finishes last because he's just there to have a bit of fun and take part, and that's all that matters, you know, and find the love again for racing. And riders like me who are struggling in that situation, it's difficult to find your way out of it, I guess, especially when you're faced with a year and a half of more of that crap.
Yeah, it's difficult to find your way in somewhere else. You know, contracts are starting to be signed at other places. You know, you'd have to have a team willing to, you know, help buy you out, sort of thing. Is World Superbike somewhere that you want to go? Is another championship somewhere that you really want to go? Do you want to put yourself through that? There's so much that we don't even think about, that he must have thought about. He's going, where else can I go here? Is it actually attainable? Can I achieve that? Or is it best just to pick myself up and finish this 2 years and then see where I can go?
Yeah, because the issue is, like, with his results at the moment, no one maybe will want to try and hire him because...
No.
Why would you?
Not at this stage. Yeah, it's looking more and more likely that Honda will turn around and be like, we don't want you to race for us anymore.
But then who would Honda hire?
I don't know, because then you've got the issue of they've got a bad bike at the minute, so they don't really have the luxury of bringing whoever they want in.
No.
So it
really is just stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword at the minute.
Yeah, there's no real way out for a lot of these guys apart from just sticking with it.
Yeah.
And Mir was kind of forced into it. There was no... It's not like he could have gone somewhere else. It was Mir, it was Honda or nothing.
Well, yeah, it was the open seat on the grid last year, and it made sense. Seat, really.
Yeah. And especially seeing Rins go to Yamaha, that would have killed him inside, because at least Rins gets a chance to just do something else and maybe give something else a crack and get out of that.
But that's all it took. That's all it took was that performance in Coda, probably, and Frankie sort of saying, I'm sort of sick of this here and it works well that my contract's up at the end of the year. Like, it just fell into place that Rins had that good performance and maybe a couple others under his belt. Because if Mir had that, you never know. It could have been Mir that we're talking about, and Rins being stuck in the situation of Honda.
Yeah, and not only in addition to that, you see Mir all down in the dumps and letting the reps over the pressure, and then you've got Rin's having a hell of a time in the LCR garage, just living it up.
I'm surprised he's leaving because he looks like he gets on with everyone really well. But I suppose if Yamaha came to him going, "We're looking for a rider next year," you're not going to turn down a factory seat. I don't know how it came about, but it was it's a great opportunity for him to be back in a factory team where he deserves to be. But he looks like he really gets on with the team at LCR. Whereas Mir doesn't look like he gets on great. But that's all results based too. You know, it's going to be tough for everyone to get on with each other if you're crashing every week.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? Right, shall we move to Moto 3, 2 and then do our predictions?
Sure.
I don't even remember what we talked about. This title's going to be hard to write, but so we'll start with Moto 3 and some transfer news, shall we say, with Snipers potentially signing David Almanza, who will wildcard at Catalunya as well, with the Fine Network Mir squad. And additional to that, Luca Lanetta, who has raced last year for the CJ Moto squad as a replacement rider in Assen, will ride for the 658 squad. And Lanetta's number is actually 58, and he has been given permission by Paolo Simicelli to use the 58.
Has he actually?
Yeah, that's not like confirmed, but that's what I've been told, yeah.
Oh, see, I'd heard that he'd put a request in for it, but I thought the number was retired.
In MotoGP class it
is. Yes.
Because Juan Gravara ran it a couple of years ago.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, apparently he's been allowed to use it, but again, we'll wait for the official announcement and we'll wait to see the number roster listed next year. But that'd be really nice if that was the case.
It'd just be a nice touch.
Yeah, and Lanetta did a little hint today of him training, and his bike in the background was an old Honda, I think it's an NSR 50, which is like a little training bike in the Simicelli livery as well.
So that's pretty much confirmed it. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, a little hint. Yeah. But Moto 3 was a good race, a great battle actually between 5 and then 4 riders with...
Well, it should have been 6 riders, but yeah.
It should, yeah. But David Alonso crashed after just taking the lead, which is a shame. Because after his win in Silverstone, he looked really good this weekend. I also predicted him on the podium.
Oh.
But yeah, it's quite ironic actually. Yeah, because at Silverstone he went from last to first, and then here he went from first, then remounted and finished last.
Yeah.
So it's just
keeping him humble. It's what you need to do. You don't want it to get to his head.
Don't get too cocky. But a rider who definitely has impressed was Colin Vire. He's done well all year. He was very good in the Rebel Rookies last year. He was also the I think the runner-up in the Junior Moto3 World Championship last year.
I think so. I feel like I heard someone say that.
I think he was a runner-up in Rookies last year as well.
Or maybe it was Rookies. They were talking about it on BT Sport, but I clearly wasn't paying attention.
Oh yeah, it was Salvador. And where was Vire? 6th, but he did win 2 races, that's right. And then it was the Rebel Rookies runner-up. Yeah, he nearly won it the last round, but Raider pipped him. But a very good rider is Colin Vire. He was riding a really old IGR KTM last year and still was winning races on it. He was also the first Dutchman to take pole position in all classes since 1999.
Wow.
With, I believe, Zonta van der Gerber's dad, Jurgen van der Gerberg.
Oh, nearly.
I butchered his name. Jurgen van der Gerberg being the most recent Dutch pole position prior to Colin Vire, sorry.
We're recording this late again, so sorry everyone.
Yeah, it's nearly 11 o'clock at night, sorry. But did you know there's a 0.005 second difference between Onshu and Holgado?
I thought Holgado had won it. I'm not going to lie.
It was so close. And the fact that there was actually in them between Sasaki and Vire was 0.017 as well.
Yeah. I mean, what a race by all of them. That top 4 were incredible. And I really think Moto 3 riders have all taken a step up. There was no violence. There was no mad crashes. Masia was the only DNF with a mechanical problem.
Yeah, he did nearly call a big crash, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, almost. But thankfully, everyone was able to avoid that. But I mean, Masia was a sitting duck at that point. But but that top four were just absolutely incredible. Someone had to miss out in the podium, and I'm annoyed that it was Colin Vara that missed out. But I think maybe just the experience of the three in front of him. Someone did say that they thought he maybe rolled off in the last corner so Sasaki could finish ahead of him, but I don't know about that. But yeah, Dennis Onshu, incredible. We did sort of say that once he'd won one, he would go and do another one. And I'm glad that he's got one in quick concession. That'll be good for the confidence.
Yeah, that'll be good, especially because he's shot up the championship standings now
to
third. He's a little bit off. Is 161 minus 124, 37 points back.
That's not that much.
But he can claw that back. 10 rounds to go. He can claw that back, I think. Sasaki's not far off, but Holgado is literally flying off in the distance, it seems, at the moment.
Well, he did everything right. He had obviously his bad round in Assen and has done everything right since, Yeah,
that's it, because he's been on the podium, I believe. I'm just getting it up. Oh, yeah. No, he hasn't. But he's been on the podium every round since Le Mans, barring Assen. He got first, third, 25th, third, second.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you win championships.
But Sasaki's taken 6 consecutive podiums.
But yeah, podiums are great. But if you're losing out to the championship leader, if you're finishing third and he's finishing second, you're not going to win a championship. That's
it, because the first 2, France and Italy, were won by Holgado. Sasaki was second, third, but then every round since, Sasaki's clawed that gap down.
Yeah.
Because it was Masia in second, now he's down to 5th.
He's had it rough, Yeah,
he has, but Sasaki in the last 4 rounds, I'll compare it to Holgado. Sasaki second, Holgado third. Sasaki second, Holgado 25th. Sasaki second, Holgado third, but then only just in Austria, Holgado second, Sasaki third. So,
I mean, Assen was the big one where everyone scored points on Holgado.
Yeah, but if Sasaki can keep this up and keep that kind of consistency up, I think he could claw it back to Holgado.
He needs to win, is my opinion. Because I just feel out of that 4, I went Sasaki's going to be the one missing out here, and he almost did.
And he was, because Holgado led every lap, but Sasaki would get past him, but then he would show him all kind of the tricks of where to get him and where he knew he could get him.
Yeah, and then you've got Dennis Onshu.
Holgado could just bluff.
Yeah, and then you've got Onshu behind looking and going, oh, even better, watching both of them show their hands, and you're going,
yeah,
look at these idiots. I know exactly what I need to do, and he did it by 0.00 whatever 5.
Yeah, because on the lap prior to the final lap, I watched Holgado, and Holgado knew that if he had left that last corner, he could just about make it to the line, but Sasaki knew that he could beat him to turn 1.
Yeah.
So Sasaki knew already that he needed to be ahead of Holgado by that last corner, and he did take him at turn 1 again, but then as the lap went on,
there were bits
was able to push past him.
Yeah, there were bits that Holgado was stronger, and there were bits where Sasaki was stronger. So obviously, Holgado, once he went into second place, was going to go, I know where you're weak here, so because I'm strong here, so I'm going to pass you, and that's exactly what happened. And Dennis Onshu was able to rub his hands together and go, thanks very much for the win, guys.
Yeah, that's it. And it was a good win. And the championship in Moto 3 is Holgado, Sasaki, Onshu, Ortolo, Masia. So,
Onshu's the one to look out for in all of this.
Yeah, he is. He's the rising star, as you're saying. But there's been some rumours and confirmations as well as we step into Moto 2 that Jaime Masia will be raiding for SAG next year in Moto 2, which is an odd one, considering they're not really a front runners, and I would expect them to be at Italtrans or something.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you definitely spoke about him going to Italtrans, but
he did test it apparently.
Yeah, with Jaime Masia, it's very clear that it's been tough for him to find a step up into Moto 2, And I think that this opportunity has arose and he's obviously jumped at it. So I just hope that he can get in there, show some potential, and another team go, oh, actually, yeah, we should put you in our team. And he will then step up in Moto 2 that way, which we've seen riders do before. So I'm just hoping it's not a bad decision.
Yeah, exactly. And another rider who's rumoured to go up, and apparently the deal was signed this weekend, was Dennis Onshu with the IO Moto 2 squad.
I could see it.
I could very much see it. It's probably the reason he went to IO in the first place, was a contract for next year.
Yeah.
Okay, 2024.
I mean, there could be 2 seats free.
There could. Mm-hmm.
Danny Holgado could
Can't
get
see
the
it right
other
now
one.
staying. Yeah, that would be a great one.
Yeah, I'd be a big fan of that because I would love to see Remy Gardner and Raul Fernandez championship play out again, even though I said it was boring at the time in terms of it was just the same 2 guys winning, but it was spicy, so that'd be fun.
Yeah, and Sasaki would make the logical step up to the Komori Husqvarna Intact GP Moto 2 team instead, because apparently rumour is that both Binder and Tulovic are out for next year. So Binder's out for the next few rounds because of a broken vertebrae, I believe. The reserve rider, Senna Aegis, is also injured. So maybe SDK could take a step in there, I'm thinking.
I didn't realise Darren Binder had been hurt.
Yeah.
I thought he was okay.
What I was told.
I said that he was okay earlier. Oh no, I've just realised I've lied to everyone.
I'll just check, because I did hear that it...
I don't know, I feel like he was up. And for some reason I've just taken that he was okay, because obviously he was involved in a massive crash with Sam Lowes. Binder had fallen off in front of Sam, and Sam had nowhere to go and just completely smacked into Darren, and the bikes were sent flying. And I did for a split second sort of go, oh God, Darren Binder's been involved. What's happened here? But it was completely not Darren's fault whatsoever, and it was really unfortunate for him, but I hope he's not injured.
Yeah, so it's quite fun actually. So Ollie Barstow at Bike Sport News has said that both of them were uninjured. The official press release via Vroom magazine, who do a lot of the media with Michael Hill and things like that and cover a lot of the team's things, said Darren Binder even said he had injured his back, and the initial CT scan showed a fracture of the third vertebrae body. So further examinations will have to reveal the length of 25-year-old's recovery phase.
God.
The Husqvarna team wishes Darren Binder a speedy recovery and a quick return, meaning he's probably going to be out. I don't know who they're going to use to replace him.
Well, you hope SDK?
I hope SDK. I did tell SDK earlier that there was a potential spot available. But SDK, as
should be his
everybody
manager.
knows... Oh yeah, everybody that knows SDK knows he's terrible at replying to messages. So even Max Toff said that, and Nolan Lampkin. So but yeah, it was interesting Moto 2 though, because Bo stays at Saga as well. They did confirm that.
Oh yes.
So Costa led most of the race, but a speedy Celestino Vietti, who had a rocket up his arse for the first time in ages, came from nowhere to win his first race in Catalonia 2022.
Well, you say nowhere. He was on the front row.
True. But why
but
has he
that
been
qualifying
good this
came from nowhere. Valentino Rossi's watching him.
True.
Big man, team boss, the one that controls where you go and what seat you get is watching you. You're going to go, oh yeah, don't kick me out of the academy, please. I'm going to win this race, is what I think. But it was very... start of the season last year, Celestino Vietti, he just looked unstoppable, and he was unstoppable, and he made Pedro Acosta look bad.
Yeah, he did.
Because Pedro hadn't managed his tyres, it looks like he had lost the front a little bit, and he nearly crashed on multiple occasions, and then you've got Vietti just passing him easy.
Yeah, looking like it's easy, yeah. I don't know where the speed came from. Like you said, maybe Rossi being there has helped.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's Weird.
Yeah, well, it's been over a year since he's won a race.
Yeah.
But that was...
And then he just...
What were you going to say?
Appears out of nowhere and then just, like, wins a race.
Well...
Like, will it continue or not?
Well, here's the thing. The last race he won was Catalonia last year, and they're going to Catalonia next. So, is this a return to form? We never know.
We hope so, because he's fantastic to watch when he's actually on his day.
Yeah. No, he is.
I just don't understand it, to be honest, at all.
I've no real words for it, to be honest, because I just didn't expect it.
No, it's weird. Like, because I expected Agora to be on the box, because he was on the box there last year. I expected Pedro to be up there. Kind of expected Arbolino to be up there. Don't know what's going on with him at the moment.
Well, qualifying, P7, so I thought, that's normal. Okay. He usually makes it up, and he did in the first lap or two. He got up there, and I'm going, okay. Yeah, and then the laps went on and he's dropping positions and I'm like, oh dear, I thought this was just a Silverstone problem.
No, like the last 3 races of Assen, Silverstone and Austria, he's finished 7th, 10th and then 6th. Pedro's finished 3rd, 2nd.
Yikes.
Like, do you want this title or not?
Yeah, he hasn't even had to win races to take the championship lead.
That's it. And the last 2 races before that, Pedro won both of Arbolino's second on both of them. Pedro has crashed out of Le Mans and then had 12th at Argentina, and apart from that, he's been on the podium every race.
Yeah, but he's been able to make those mistakes because now Tony has made more mistakes.
Yeah, because Pedro lost a lot when he crashed at Le Mans.
Tony had a race win on him.
Full 25 back, but he's lost it all to the point where Pedro's now like 12 over. 164 plus 70. I don't know. 176 minus 64. Yeah, it's 12. Yeah, so he's got a 12-point lead.
Which isn't massive, but
to go from... It's been a 37-point swing so far.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm worried about it. But to be fair, Jake Dixon's still quite a way off in 3rd place, so I do still think it's going to be between those two for the championship, but it's just now, will Pedro be able to run away with it? Or is Tony just on a bit of a...
On like a losing streak, but we'll come back. It's a weird one.
Well,
another weird one. Carry.
I was just going to say he won. What was it, Thailand last year? Tony Arbolino.
He won 2 races in Kota.
So as well. I think we're going to some tracks that he did perform well at last year. So I'm not going to rule him out just yet. That's all I wanted to say.
A fair shot.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And another crash for Alonso Lopez.
Weird. Mm-hmm. Did you see his story?
Yeah, when he said, like, thank you for the nice messages and things like that.
All will be revealed tomorrow about why he's been getting on the way he's getting on, apparently.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Did you not translate it? I badly translated it from Spanish to English with the little translate button.
Let's read it. Where is it? I can't even find this thing. I kind of read half of it and then just skipped because I'm not reading that.
No, read the bottom bit.
So, thank you for everyone who sent me messages of love. I don't know what I've done to deserve this, but booking time. Help me. Tomorrow, there will be news, and you'll be able to see and understand what has happened to me.
Like, is that not a bit like what the hell's going on?
Has he got arm pump?
I don't know. Is he out of a seat?
I doubt.
No, I don't know. I'm just stirring the pot at this point. But like, it's a bit weird that he's crashed now 2 weeks in a row, and then he's putting a bit of a cryptic story up.
Yeah, because there's only 11 points between him and his teammate now in the championship.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, for me, it's been better since the summer break so far. I know it's only 2 races, but still 2 races. He's been better.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, like a crash and a retirement. Well, 2 crashes really for Lopez, and then a win and a 9th for Furman.
Yeah.
Another rider is doing terribly. Is Aaron Canet. He's had the most Moto2 crashes this season so far.
Not surprised. Does he not have the most second place finishes too?
How many has he got? Is it like 40?
I thought it was 11 the last time I checked, but he might have had another one since then.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11, yeah. Yeah, you go on his Wikipedia and it's just silver colour. His last win was Aragon 2019.
In Moto 3?
Yeah.
Oh, it had to be. I don't know why I asked that.
No. Ouch. But yeah, that's
apparently
very odd.
His squad might not be there next year.
Yeah, Pons might be switching to NTS chassis next year.
Apparently he's found
a new team. Well, it was meant to be announced that it was going to be at either Fantic or Husqvarna this weekend, but then it's so weird what's going on. So there was even a press release written for one of the teams, which I'm not going to mention, and photos taken for it, apparently. But now he's been linked to the IO squad, the Fantic still, and the Husqvarna squad. He was meant to have signed with one of those teams, like, and was going to be announced this weekend, like on Thursday or Friday. It should have been announced.
That's so weird.
And then nothing.
If I was a team that's getting to the stage now where I don't know if I would want Aaron Canet on my bike.
That's what I'm thinking as well, you know.
And that sounds so horrible to say that. I actually don't like saying that.
No. He's not going to... I'm not going to like what I'm going to say. He's not going to make it to MotoGP, I don't think.
No, but there's becoming a bit of a list of riders in Moto2 at the minute that aren't going to make it.
Is very quickly joining that list, I think.
Vietti, possibly Joe Roberts. Aaron Canet are the main ones. But yeah. Possibly Jake Dixon.
Yeah, I don't know. There's still talk of Dixon getting that Grassini seat, isn't there?
Yeah, maybe.
Very strange.
I don't know. If he doesn't go this year, I don't see Jake going at all. But
no, I'm the same, yeah.
A different story.
It's a thing for another day. There's so much more I want to talk about, but it's been an hour and 20 minutes.
We've talked about
MotoGP. Yeah, MotoGP, boring race again.
Yeah. I mean, great for Pecco. Really good weekend.
Yeah, Pecco's running away with it.
Yeah, did the pole, did the sprint, did the main race, got his 37 points, and yeah, didn't really have to do much.
Vinales had a terrible start as always.
Yeah.
I was like, when he got that second place, I was like, he's going to win this weekend, you know. And then he goes and does that. And I'm like, great. Thanks, Vinales, for once again.
Yeah. I don't know.
Destroying my hopes.
Probably it's just a weird one, because then you've got a Leish winning last week in Silverstone and then just being absolutely nowhere. I mean, he was top 10, but it just felt meh. So quiet of a weekend for him.
Yeah, it was very weird. Yeah, like you said.
I wonder about those two. Like, how much longer are they going to keep racing? Yeah.
But I just worry at Aprilia, because Miguel Oliveira is probably the most unlucky rider I think I've ever seen this year in my life. Like, he got smashed off on the sprint race. So, right, let's go through it properly.
Was it not the main race?
So, DNF in Portimao, and thanks to Marc Marquez's dive bomb, injures himself, misses Argentina, comes back in America, 5th, crash in Jerez, injured, misses Le Mans, comes to Mugello, crash, scores points in Germany, crash in Netherlands and Assen, scores a 4th place in Silverstone, smashed off in Austria in the sprint, and then retires from the main race due to his bike breaking on him. And he's taken out probably some of those out of the Jerez, Mugello and Assen crashes. I'm sure he was taken out of 1 or 2 of them.
Yeah. Possibly.
Like, the dude's so unlucky.
No, literally, because he fully deserves that factory seat if he hasn't just been literally the most unlucky man alive.
Yeah, the guy is so unlucky. It actually hurts to watch sometimes.
With RNF this weekend, though, it was a double curse because they ran a special livery.
Pink livery.
Yeah.
Oh, it was beautiful, some of the comments of that.
Gorgeous.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, like, some of the comments. Someone said it was woke because it was
pink. What does that mean?
I'm like, bro, it's a freaking colour.
I didn't get that when you told me that to me. But they didn't change their leathers, which I thought was a bit lazy.
No, maybe it was too late or something.
Maybe.
Because the suits cost quite time consuming to make, I guess. And
just don't.
Maybe it's like a last minute thing.
Don't do a livery if you're not going to do it properly.
Yeah, because that's what I thought. I was a bit weirded out that
they were in blue and
the
green.
suits were not right. Yeah, I was like, huh? But very strange.
Like imagine like a Barbie helmet. That'd be so funny.
That'd been dope. Yeah, but can you imagine all sad people whine and complain about it being pink?
Yeah. Someone said someone should have done Barbie and then someone else should have done Oppenheimer.
Like, I get the Barbie, but do you really want the livery celebrating an atomic bomb that killed
but I didn't.
tens of hundreds of thousands
Someone
of people?
did make a joke about that. I haven't seen the movie yet.
Yeah, they did.
Oh, yeah. I do know it's a real life event. That is why I just said I haven't seen the movie as if I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've seen both, to be fair. They were good. I like both.
Yeah, Barbie's great. Yeah. So fully great support running a pink livery.
Yeah, why not? It's great fun. Yeah. Bit of fun, isn't it? Like, was it Danny Jules? I can't ever pronounce it. John Jules, that's it. Danny John Jules, years ago. Big MotoGP fan. You'll remember him from Kids TV years ago. He was a guy in MI High, if you remember that.
I remember that name sounds familiar, like the MI High, but I don't know who you're on about. He
did a thing years ago, and he had that's it. I'll send you the photo.
I do, because I'm confused.
He travelled in a bright pink liveried motorbike by Spain for Riders to Health.
What?
Yeah.
I do not know this guy.
Pink's sick. Do you not?
No.
He was in the paddock at Silverstone and everything. Let's have a look.
I have literally no idea. I'm loving this bike though. I've never seen this man before in my life.
Have you not? You have seen MI High. This is useless for everybody who's listening.
I think so. We're not that different in age. You're only a year older than me.
Yeah.
I've never seen this man before in my life. Maybe I never watched it.
What the hell? Oh, what about this? Right, this is the last one. He's on Strictly Come Dancing the other year as well.
I love Strictly. No, I've no idea.
What the hell? Okay, very, very last one of him was Strictly then. But yeah, that's it.
When was he on Strictly? I only started watching it recently.
Okay, it was a few years ago, like 2019.
Oh no, I didn't watch it then. It's sort of a lockdown thing since then.
But yeah, he's into his bikes anyway, and he did raise money for charity in a completely pink livery. Pink is cool, is what I'm trying to say.
Pink is cool. And it doesn't matter if you're a Ken or a Barbie. Pink is cool.
Yeah, pink's great. But anyway, moving on. Alex Marquez, outstanding, battling for a podium as well.
Yeah.
Very impressed, to be honest. I'm really impressed by Alex Marquez this year. He's obviously been confirmed to race for Gresini next year already. Mm-hmm. Very, very happy for him. Yeah.
Digio's looking like the biggest loser here, in the sense of he's looking like the one that's going to be booted from the championship.
Oh, he's out. But not only that, it kind of makes sense because Ducati is the best bike on the grid. And if you're not performing on the best bike on the grid, I'm sorry, dude, but
yeah,
it's not good enough, is it?
Well, Enea Bastianini is going to have that talk had to him too.
Discussion, yeah. Did you was 17?
Yeah. That bike should not be there. That bike is good. I'm so confused.
Ducati should be locking out top 10s, really, a top 8, really.
I don't know why they'd lock out the top 10.
Maybe not the top 10. They had apart from Miller, the other round, the other few weeks ago, didn't they have all 8 bikes in the top 9 with Miller?
DJ Antonio had a good weekend that weekend, and I think Miller was the only one to disrupt that.
Wasn't on the Ducati. Yeah. Nuts. But yeah, let's go into our predictions before we finish off.
If we have to.
So I'm not going to go through the points and how they scored because I've done it a million times.
And I still don't understand how it works.
Hell yeah. But so, pole position Moto 3. Me and Lauren went for Sasaki, Cameron Mazzia, and it was Via on the box.
I'm annoyed by that.
On the box, on the pole. So, yeah, no points for us there. In the race, it was Onshu, then Holgado, then Sasaki. I went for, as you can tell, it's very late now. I'm very tired. But I went for Sasaki, Alonso, Onshu. So I got Onshu and Sasaki on the podium in the wrong position, so I get 2 points. Mm-hmm. Cameron went Mazzia on Alonso, Ortola third. So 0 points for Cameron. And Lauren went Holgado, Ortola, Sasaki. You get 6 points.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So the points were, before that, myself with 134, Cameron with 147, and you with 84. Then now, myself with 136, Cameron with 147, and Lauren with 90.
I am catching up.
Just, yeah, about 40 off there. It's not bad. But I wouldn't...
We've seen people come back from worse.
True. So, Moto 2 pole was Acosta. You went for Acosta. You had a point. I went for Dixon. Cameron went for Aldeguer. On the podium, it was Vietti, Acosta, Agura. I went Dixon, Agura, Arbolino. I get 1 point. Because I got Agura, just in the wrong place. Cameron went Aldeguer, Acosta, Canet. Cameron gets 5 points for Acosta in the right position.
Very good.
And you went Acosta, Dixon, Aldeguer, so you get 2 points in total for Moto 2 for pole and Acosta being on the box. So the points now are myself with 137, Cameron with 152, and Lauren with 92. In MotoGP, I'm really annoyed about this. Pole was Bagnaia, and I nearly put Bagnaia for pole and the sprint winner, and I didn't. I went for Martin, so did Cameron for pole, and you went Bezzecchi. Sprint winner was, of course, Bagnaia. I went for Aleix Espargaro, Cameron Miller, you Binder.
I had to back him.
Yeah, Binder was a good shout, to be fair. In the main race, it was Bagnaia, then Binder, then Bezzecchi. I went for Bagnaia, Binder, Miller. So I get 15 points. Cameron went for Bagnaia, Aleix Espargaro, Zarco. So, what's that? 10 points for Cameron. I've just realised I made a mistake on yours, sorry. You went for Binder, Martin, Oliveira. You get 1 point.
Oh God, that's so depressing.
So the points leaving Austria. So my points gap to Cameron is actually closed slowly. And it was 13 points heading into this. And now leaving, I'm on 152. Cameron's on 162. So only 10 points in it now. And you have 93 points.
That's a good number to have.
It's a very fast number to have.
Exactly. Maybe this is the turning point. This is my 91 point deficit happening right now.
Hell yeah.
Which I've said for about 3 weeks now. And it hasn't.
Yeah, you have. To be fair.
All I need is like one of those 15 points.
Yeah, or a 30 pointer, and then you'd be sorted. Like if I blooming put Bagnaia, say, to win the sprint race, I'd be in the lead maybe, or tied first. Or if...
I'm just hopeful. That's the problem. I'm just going into every weekend going, oh, I just don't want it to be Bagnaia just constantly winning everything. And then it comes back to bite me in the ass.
That's it, isn't it?
But then it's just boring if we all pick the same podiums, just in a different order.
Yeah, that is very boring. You're very true. So, before we round off the podcast, firstly, I want to congratulate Jake Gagne on taking his 3rd consecutive Moto America title. Fully deserved, very fast rider, and he's managing to do it against some stiff competition. They sent Loris Baz over, couldn't do it. They sent Danilo Petrucci over, they couldn't do it. Cameron Bobia went back. Josh Herring was on the Ducati, still couldn't do it. So, yeah, very, very, very well deserved from Jake Gagne. Superb rider. Some more sad news in Haruki Noguchi, who was 3rd in the Red Bull Rookies in 2020 behind Carlos Tata and Pedro Acosta. And he had an accident last weekend in the Asia Road Race Championship and tragically lost his life at just 22 years old. He also won at the Red Bull Ring a few years ago. And yeah, it's very sad. You know, it's no age to lose your life racing. So yeah, I just want to pay some respects to him. Very disappointed in Dorna and MotoGP in general for not even a hint about him over the weekend. Very sad about that.
No. Disrespectful.
Not good. Yeah, it is. It's gross, to be honest. And then sadly today, on the opening day of the Manx Grand Prix, Gary Vines has also tragically lost his life in the first qualifying session of the 2023 event. So I wanted to pay some respect to Gary as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thoughts go out to everybody's family and friends who have tragically lost their lives. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I think so. Sad to leave it on a sad note, but
Yeah, of course. It is sad, yes. But that's sadly racing for us, isn't it?
Unfortunately, but I think we've rambled on now quite enough.
Too long.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe Cameron's the voice of reason and keeps us a bit
keeps
shorter in our
a bit sane
discussions.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe.
Been good though.
Yeah. If we could talk about the racing next week, that'd be good. Well, in 2 weeks,
great.
but
yeah. Right.
Fingers crossed.
Anyway, thank you for listening. And we're back next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.